Editing's a pretty complex process. In some ways, editing, the way Eisenstein talked about it, is actually the most unique tool to film. Because film actually kind of borrows and steals from a bunch of other arts. It's got acting comes from theater, it's got photography, it's got movement that comes from dance and composition that comes from painting. It has, literature. It has all those other things. But editing, the idea that you put two shots together, one after another, is kind of montage. And like Sergei Eisenstein, the great Russian filmmaker, often thought that that's why editing is the heart and soul of filmmaking. That's what filmmaking really is. And he had this idea that basically you create meaning out of the collision of images. So like A and B don't equal A and B. A plus B equals C, something completely different. So if I had a picture of Osama bin Laden and said, here's Osama bin Laden, and then I wiped it out of your mind, and if I said, here's another picture, here's George Bush, okay, those are just two pictures of two people. But what if I said, Osama bin Laden, George Bush? All of a sudden, a whole bunch of other ideas come up. It's like a gestalt. You've now created something new by putting those two things together. And that was his idea, that it's basically the interesting stuff is when you create new meanings by putting things together. And the Russian theorist Lev Kuleshov actually had a thing called the Kuleshov effect, where basically he took an experiment where he took a blank-faced person, like a reaction shot of a person, and then intercut it with, I think it was a bowl of soup, and then a coffin, and then a small child playing. And then he asked the audience, well, what was the person thinking each time, the character in the reaction shot? And when it would cut to the soup, they would say, he was hungry, and he was obviously hungry. And then you cut to the coffin, they'd say, obviously he was grieving. And with the child, it was, wonder or joy, whatever it might be. But the idea is that there's meaning created in the cut itself. As a director, oftentimes, especially with inexperienced actors, oftentimes for a reaction shot, all they got to do is react. Just look. Just watch what's going on, and then the cut itself will carry the meaning. So that's something to think about when you're directing actors or actors who might be tending to overact. Editing also plays a real role in the telling of the story. And in some ways, I consider editing the final rewrite.
You had a hell of an application.
All right, the money. The money!
The flashback scene of Scotty and the robbery. Now, we could have put that whole piece up front when we introduced that funny joke about you had a hell of a resume. But if we would have done it up there, it would have meant, well, here's Scotty. This is how we met him. It's kind of funny. It's been very expositional. But by putting it later in the movie, once again, the placement has meaning in and of itself. The fact that he's thinking about the robbery and how it went wrong and how he met a family, right when he's ready to do a robbery, it's reminiscing. It's now like being inspired to not do that again, or to remember what happened and kind of learn a lesson, or to come back to that family. It has that meaning. But also, we did a rewrite within that scene. In the scene, the way we shot it was Atlas comes up to him and grabs the gun away from him. But we kind of thought to ourselves, this raises so many questions. Is she going to get shot? How did she know so quickly? And possibly even the gun was like over the top, kind of melodramatic. So if you see the scene now, the humanity is there. Her trust in him is there. But all she does is she goes up and grabs the mask. Because it's working. The rhythm's there. The emotion is there. So when he has his gun down and she lets him grab the mask, that's all you need. The emotion is, I'm opening up, I'm letting this person in, and she's letting me kind of be revealed. And we decided that's basically a rewrite that happens in the editing room. So you literally can rewrite your script in your last draft. So if you're a producer or director and you're making a low-budget movie, you gotta be careful. You have to respect the craft that people do. Just because someone has Final Cut Pro and makes family movies, you don't necessarily want them to be your editor. You have to have someone who understands dramatic storytelling, hopefully has a track record in either dramatic storytelling or the type of story you're trying to tell, and make sure you surround yourself with people who aren't just as good as you, but who are actually better at what they do than you are.